What's going on, guys? Bladezilla here, and I've got a couple cool ones for you to take a look at today from Alphahunter and Mechforce. These are the collaboration, the Apocalypse. A couple different colors. I don't quite know which one of these is going to end up on the site, but one of them will. We got an 80s carbon ceramic and a silver twill carbon fiber. Before I go into this, obviously, I just want to say that I love these little coffins that these knives come in, and if I could buy these coffins to send knives out in, I absolutely would, because I think they're so cool, and would love to know where the heck they get these from. So if anyone knows, leave it down in the comments. Secondly, a lot of the knives that are on this channel are listed on my website for sale, bladezilla.ca. Nice little shout out. There we go. Bladezilla.ca in Canada. Added some Microtechs this past week, a bunch of new Stellars in stock, some Russian Overkills, some Quantum Blues, lots of stuff, bladezilla.ca. But that's not what we're here to check out. We're here to check out these cool knives. So which one should I get opened up first? You decide. Vote down below. I'm just kidding. Let's open up the 80s carbon. Actually, I'll do both. And we'll make a nice little spread as if it's a knife charcuterie. Ooh, okay, now we're talking. And a nice little layout as well, I must say. That looks nice. So first of all, yeah, this knife case, I love this. I would love to know where to get these. I've got the specs of both these knives pulled up beside me, and for a lack of better words, they are identical, I believe, other than basically the inlay. So I don't think there's a whole lot differentiating the two, so I may mix and match and talk about them, but I'm just kind of referring to either of them. So I'm going to yank these out. Those cool little coffin cases can go to the side. And let's take a look. Ooh, those are cool. And I'm not going to zoom in too much. I don't want to give you guys motion sickness. So I guess let's start with the 80s. I think it's called 80s camo carbon or something. Or 80s carbon ceramic inlays. So let's take a look at that. Beastly, I must say. Lots of colors, lots of pinks, some light blues obviously, and some light greens. So that's the 80s form factor, as expected. Nice little frame lock, folder, cool clip, all external screws. They look like T8s, if I'm guessing. Flipper tab is almost frickin' vertical ahead of the pivot, so it's going to hammer right out. Back spacer is nice and burly, as you can see if the camera wants to focus. M390 is what I thought we saw on the blade, and something a little different, for me anyway, is that we have both a flipper tab as well as some thumb studs. So that should be an interesting one to kind of take a look at as we kind of go through this. And you know, I don't see this being a super long video because I really don't have a ton of comparisons to show with these two knives. I just wanted to get a video up, talk about it, give it some kind of feel in hand compared to some other stuff, give you some close-ups, see the blades, see the pocket clips, see the build quality, etc., and kind of take things from there. So which one should I fire out first? I really don't know, but I'm going to kind of focus on one at a time here and then kind of go through it. So here we go. 80s carbon ceramic inlays with M390. Ooh, okay. That is a cool blade. That is a really cool blade. So obviously that's the Apocalypse kind of feel to it. And some other knives like the recent Microtechs, Apocalypse or Apocalyptic was actually the Stonewash reference, and I see on this, I don't know if that's a coincidence, but the tip and the bottom here on a hollow grind is nice and stonewashed. That is cool. Nice little lion on there as well. I like that with this deep cutout in here. With that, I'm assuming that's perfect for pulling and tearing as on the exit, you know. So that's designed for. I'm surprised it's not sharpened on the back. You can obviously choke up quite nice to that as well. I didn't think that would be something I'd be looking at, but we've got some nice jimping. Kind of looks like a couple bevels, 3 bevels, kind of cut in there. Really sharp as well, which is nice and grippy. but you can slide right up, and that is handy dandy. So you can slide your hand right into a wound, right over your thumb, no big deal. I'm just kidding. Please don't do that, or quote me on that. Thumb studs, I'm not gonna, well, it's on bearing, so it does feel pretty good. Action is tremendously smooth. So it does have those thumb studs, I guess. So I'm not, when I do film these videos, I am wrapped around a tripod, so I'm not going to bother trying to hammer this guy out, but it is very smooth on bearings. So as you can see, it should have no problems if you wanted to give it a nice flick and hammer it out. But like I said, I just don't have the body English to do that at this time, due to having a very busy day and being wrapped around a very expensive camera, holding a very expensive knife. All things that are not a good combination. Let's take a look at the backspacer here. Quite nice. Nice spot for a lanyard hole. Kind of how they do that. So from the side, no holes, nothing like that. Nice and clean, nice and smooth. Kind of gives me vibes of like, it gives me like Chavez type vibes, honestly. If this had like a really nasty belt grind on it, like just a real sick belt grind, then he told me it was made by like Riyadh or something. I think that's what it was. Super sick. On the back side, obviously, so we've got a couple 1, 2, 3 bends right into that lock bar, which is cool too. Dead center, as expected. It's I think these were like $425 US table, I think, something like that. So a little more than some of the other Riyadh stuff, but certainly well made. Let's push that guy out. So inside we don't have any internal skeletonization, and I'll grab my little light to just show that. I know it's kind of tough to see sometimes, but it is plain Jane on the inside as that light bounces around. Underneath the backspacer, no cool milling, nothing like that, but kind of what you'd expect for this price point, honestly. I would love to know the purpose. Like, you can kind of see, you're seeing threes all over the place in this design. So I see, obviously, 3 spots on the jimp. 1, 2, 3. I see 3 on the lock bar. 1, 2, 3. I see 3 on the frame back here. 1, 2, 3. And then 3 cutouts into the lock bar. Sorry. So I guess I should have said frame, lock bar. Anyway, 3, 3, 3. Lots of 3s as part of the design. And then 3 screws. So that's kind of cool. I like how, I'm assuming that hardware screws into itself as well, versus kind of into the frame. So that's, if you do strip something, I'm assuming they connect together. And you've got some cool, looks like there's a little gap back here. I'm trying to see how they attach that. Is there anything internally back there? There's a gap. I'm trying to identify what is going on in the back here. You tell me. But there's a little tiny notch inside the backspacer. See, just above my finger here? I don't know what that's for. I don't know. Probably something very simple. Has to do with one of the screws, maybe? Don't know. Super smooth action. As I said, it runs on bearings. It's a heavy beast. It feels like it's got to be 6 ounces. I'm going to switch over to the other one now and kind of show this one. May as well. So this is the Silver Twill. And, I was expecting this to be really loud and poppy, and it definitely is, but it's a little more subdued than expected. It's nice and finished smoothly into the inlay. Like, there's no discernible height difference, which is nice. Especially on the back here, we have these three screws, and they go through both materials. That's not as common to see the separation, which is also the same on the 80s carbon. I'll just show that one as well. So there is no difference there, but it does split the 2 materials. So if you're going to do it poorly, it's not going to turn out too well. Obviously the same design to 3, 3, 3. The jimping's 3. Let's see the action on this guy. Very smooth, identical to the other one, I'd say. Very smooth. I love seeing this kind of 2 texture almost 3 textures to this blade finish. Like you see a stone wash down low, you see almost like a satin flat, and then you get a more of like a tumble, I don't know what you'd call that, like a rough metal finish inside. So there's kind of 3 things going on in that blade. That's not particularly easy to do, which is pretty cool. You know, the only thing that would take this up another notch for me is like throw a kickstop on there. That'd be real cool. There's lots of room in here to do it. You can see the Mechforce logo as well. Did the other one have that? Or am I blind? No, it did. They both had it. Just thought for some reason I didn't see it the first time. But yeah, they both have it. Yeah, that silver 12 fits in there nicely. Nice and smooth. Very well done. Very well done. Dead center as well, which is kind of what you'd expect, right? You're not at an inexpensive price point. Let's go around the knife. So we've got a lock bar insert. And remember, the metal lock bar insert is not just simply for the fact that it looks good and is showing a technical capability. It's to kind of tune the materials between the blade and the frame. M390 and titanium typically don't exactly love to rub together, or they don't wear in the same type pattern, so you put a steel between them. I don't know what that steel is, but probably I'm assuming something softer than both, so that it wears versus the others. So you got a lock bar insert, as well as I'm assuming an over travel stop, which is hanging down like a molar root, right, digging itself into the frame. So that means when you push this lock bar over, it will stop and not bend the frame. It's got a nice level lockup. I always like to see between the two kind of the difference in lockup, and that should tell you everything you need to know about the manufacturer. And as you can see here, both very consistent. Let me kind of angle them. The camera is not my friend here, but very, very, very close. And that will change obviously with how I launch them out. But between the two, action feels the same. Lockup is the same. Material, feel, fit, finish, and hand, identical. That is a cool knife. Real nice. Oh, and I guess that one, I didn't even talk about this, but you've kind of got that disc on the back here, which is an interesting design choice. And they both have it, right? We'll go on the other one. You've got that blank disc on the back of both. I'm kind of surprised they do that, right? Because that's like that blank is kind of a way of making it look a little simpler, a little smoother, a little more elegant, but then all over the rest of it is hardware. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the lock bar with that metal, and the 9 with the screw. Interesting. A lot going on. I would love to see how these guys are put together as well on the thumb studs if they twist apart. Maybe there's options to upgrade and change the colors. I don't know. But usually they're reverse threaded, so you can kind of change that up. That clip is not going to be mounted anywhere differently than I assume. I just think this is a really well done titanium M390, super sick blade grind kind of a knife. Like it's definitely got a look to it that is certainly different than a lot of the others out there. And I love that it's on a flipper tab as well as a thumb stud. I think that's a nice choice. So I think what we should do is get some measurements on this, as well as some weights, and kind of see what we're looking at here. But we've got 8 1/4, I'd say, based on right tip to tip. That's what she said. I don't know why she'd say that. I apologize. That made no sense. 8 1/4, blade length of 3 1/8. I guess 3 1/2 grind, center choil 3 1/2, 3 5/8, somewhere in that range. Ish. You know, things on this channel we tend to do ish very well. Weight wise, let's see if they're both the same weight, but I'm assuming would be a little over 6 ounces. I can never be too sure. There we go. And what should I use as my cloth today? Let's grab this one. Let's grab this nice thick one here. And get a 0. Any guesses? Any guesses? 6.3 for one. We'll double weigh it. 6.3. And the other one will be 6.4. A little bit heavier, which doesn't make sense because it's carbon fiber or carbon twill, and I would think would be lighter than the ceramic. 6.3. Okay, well, I'm going to go with this. They're the same, and that my scale is a piece of SHIT. Don't swear on this channel, guys, girls. This is a safe place. But yeah, that's cool. So I was right, 6 ounces. Spec sheet says, let me pull this up here, 6.3 ounces, so it's bang on. Blade length 3.5 is what they're quoting with 3.1 inch cutting edge, which makes sense. M390, blade thickness 0.17 inches, which I don't know what 0.17 inches is in mil, but I will look that up right now, which is 4.3 millimeters, so a nice even 4.318 millimeters, which makes 0 sense. But yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool knife. I'm really impressed. Like, honestly, like, my buddy Matt wanted to grab one of these, and I said, hey, I'll throw one on, split the shipping with you and throw one in the store. And, you know, he likes his 80s theme, I think, but mostly you look at his collection, he likes big, robust titanium folders with a little bit of personality to them. A lot of blade characteristic, thick, you know, so... You know, I understand why he certainly likes this. It's definitely right up his alley. And, you know, it's interesting how just something as simple as the pattern of the knife can completely change the personality of it, right? From a, you know, funky, cool 80s theme to a, you know, more subdued, laid back, almost like an Alutex kind of theme. Yet it's still the same profile. So that's pretty cool. And like I said, the hardest part, in my opinion, is doing these inlays, having them level, and putting a thread through them without having any issues. I think that's nice and cool. You know, the 80s one definitely screams like it needs a lanyard on there, something cool, something loud on it. So hopefully he's got something cool lined up. But I would love to see that. In hand, let's take a look here. So in hand, I talked about the jimping being really nice and comfortable. You can choke up, obviously, for that nice natural flow of your finger, as I joked about earlier. But all jokes aside, you know, it is beveled all around the handle. It is very comfortable, and it fits nicely, right? Like, you look at how the profile of the handle itself doesn't have any hard edges or quick turns in it, so your hands kind of fall on it nice and smoothly, and doesn't really split your fingers apart at any point, so you could wear this with or without gloves. It's just a nice all-arounder. And I guess even the, I didn't really mention this or talk about this, but the lock bar has a bit of a bevel on the inside of it, but both sides, I believe, do. So both have that little bevel. It's kind of hidden a little bit in the design, but your finger does fall into a bit of a, like a canoe shape, I guess. Like a nice, that's a technical term for the knife business, a canoe shape. It does fall into a little bit of a hole here. It's nice and smooth and easy to lock and disengage that. Unlock and disengage, I should say. Action is definitely very smooth on both. And drop shutty. I shouldn't say drop shutty, it's like controlled. I wonder if it's on ceramic balls or if it's just on... they just feel very smooth. Yeah, that's a great knife. If you're into the design, you know, I've had a couple real big blades come through the last little while. Some Tigers. I actually have a few Tigers up behind me, but they're wrapped up and I haven't opened them, so they're not going to end up here. But yeah, if you're into those big, thick rhino type blades, I've had a few come through, and it's cool to see that's kind of a cool trend that's happening right now, is just big, robust blades. So there you go. That is my quick, for me anyway, that's a quick review for me. Mechforce Alphahunter Collab Apocalypse with 80s carbon ceramic inlays, or the silver twill carbon. I think both look pretty sick. Both are fierce. and ready for action, man. I think Matt's going to get this one. I think that's what he wants, is the 80s, and I'm assuming the other one will end up on the site probably in about half an hour from the time I'm filming this, which you're not listening to me talk right now, so you'll have no idea, but it will be on the site here hopefully pretty quick. Okay, appreciate you guys stopping by. Check out bladezilla.ca. Shoot me a note on Instagram. Let's chat. Let's chat knives. That's what it's all about. So, there we go. Alright guys, have a good night. See you later. Peace.